Hello.
Hey.
Oh, this room makes me feel good.
It's good to see you again. I love the snatchback. You look good.
Thank you, y'all. Listen, I couldn't fight it today, and I said today of all days, I'm feeling like I'm not trying to fight this hair. I'm not trying to do anything. It's the day that I'm coming to talk about hair and beauty norms. So I think that it was kismet for sure.
Something bad has happened.
Oh, I'm aware.
It wants to take over us.
Look, I cannot die today, okay? I've been in church for like 15 years. Hey, girl.
And I'm going to start with Vanessa. Number one, why do you think that this story in particular needed to be told, and why you felt like you needed to be a part of telling this story?
Well, Justin Simeon, the brilliant director and writer, reached out to me and asked me to be a part of the film. He described it as a Japanese genre horror film using hair, which was very interesting and innovative and never heard of it before. And then he told me about my character, and he said, listen, I'm writing it, but she has to be enticing enough to make our protagonist want to change her appearance in order to get ahead, which so many of us have done in our lifetimes to move to the next step in our careers. So I thought it was very appropriate and relevant to where we are. But also I lived in 1989. I mean, I had an album out back in the day. So I knew that world.
Right
I knew
stuff.
Exactly. So I knew BET. I had a show on VH1 called The Soul on VH1. I knew what it was like to be put in a mold and say, well, you can only go this far. Well, we can't really put you on MTV because you're in this box. So I knew the world, and I knew that I could contribute in my own way to this film. And I think it's relevant. We shot it on film. And so again, it brings it back to the 80s. And Justin's just brilliant. The casting is amazing. Of course, Laverne is incredible. Elle is incredible. Everyone is incredible. Blair Underwood, who I just did a play with online last week, he does a spectacular job. It's really an honor to be a part of such an innovative film.
It's a little surprising for me. I mean, I guess not incredibly surprising, but it does take me back a little bit to hear you say I was put in a box. Because for a lot of us, and Laverne, I don't know if you felt this way too, you were our standard, of beauty, yeah. Vanessa. You know what I'm saying, Laverne? You know what I'm saying?
Of course I do. Yeah. Of course I do. I'm trying to stay cool, but like I was obsessed with Vanessa Williams. Ms. Williams, I'm trying to keep it, chill here. Doing rest with you today, but I was obsessed, and it's funny as I put on the 1989 playlist, and Dreaming came on, and The Right Stuff came on, and it's like, and these were songs, I was dancing to, and I was, and in terms of beauty, Vanessa was someone that I looked to and
yes.
was inspired by. So absolutely. But not just in terms, but the talent. I think the reason why Vanessa is still here is that Vanessa is obviously an exceptionally beautiful woman, our first Black Miss America, but the talent began to show very early, and that is why she's here on so many different levels. The talent has endured.
For you, Laverne, I mean, it's 2020 and we still, on your social media posts, you're still trumpeting #trans is beautiful. This, and like really fighting the beauty norms, stereotypical norms, all of those in a completely different way. Why was it so important for you to tell this story?
Well, first of all, I just wanted to work with Justin. After I saw Dear White People, I was like, I must work with this man. And I tweeted some stuff, and I started tweeting him, hoping he would see. And then I met cast members from Dear White People. And I was like, can you please tell Justin I need to be in this second season of Dear White People? And everyone I would meet. And then I saw him at a party, and I was like, I've been sending subliminal messages that we should work together. And then he said, well, I do have a movie that I'm working on. And so then he's one of two directors I've done this with. And so he said yes, and I got the script, and I was just blown away by it. And I think for this particular story, God, there's so, the trans is beautiful hashtag came out of the Black is Beautiful movement. It was inspired by that. I was like, what would it mean to have this hashtag for trans people to celebrate the things that make us uniquely and beautifully trans? And I was like, Black folks had that. And I think it's so important still in 2020 to say that Black is beautiful. Mm-hmm. And what this film, I think, does, particularly being a horror film, I've been thinking about this morning, is that it can become an opportunity to heal and to have an exorcism around the sort of intersections of white supremacy and capitalism and how and the psychic trauma that they can sort of wreak on Black women. I think we can begin to exercise this, and this film can be an opportunity to do that in a whole new way. But I think we have to deal with the pain around that.
I wonder, I was thinking about this after I watched the movie. Do we ever really get out of that indoctrination of this is what it's supposed to be? Because I'm 45 now, and even though I feel like I'm evolved and I feel like I can look a certain way when I want to, I still find myself like feeling bad sometimes because I think, oh, I thought the straight hair I looked beautiful, and when I just washed my hair and it was like kinky, like I didn't think I looked as beautiful, and what's wrong with me? Do we ever really get out of that?
That's digging down deep into your own self-confidence, which we all struggle with anyway. The wonderful part is we have options. So you can be straight, you can be curly, you can be wavy, you can, that's the norming. Thank God the Crown Act was just passed, because being a mother of four, one of my daughters was working at a very prominent boutique, but based in London, and she has her own long natural hair. But one day she snatched it back and wore it kind of wet so you could see waves, and she got written up because it wasn't blown out and wasn't straight, but it was waves, and she had it snatched back. They said it was too ethnic looking, and this is within the last, we're talking last 5-10 years. Yeah. So you still get discriminated against, even now in this day and age, in terms of corporate America. So Thank God the Crown Act is passed and we're making strides.
But I think what you're talking about, Nischelle, are the things we internalize, right? We internalize that it's not going to be professional, that I'm not going to be considered attractive, that I'm not going to get the job. These are things that we begin to psychically internalize, and that's how sort of white supremacy works on us. And I think the work, for me, it's a daily process of being like, okay, I do exist in this world, and I want to be, there's this sort of fight to be seen, and to be seen as close to myself as possible. And sometimes it may be easier for people to see me if I have my hair a certain way. And ultimately this is a shell, and it's like, and the shell matters, but then I think ultimately what is underneath the shell in terms of my humanity. And so sometimes it's about how can we allow people to see us, and what is the best way for people to see our humanity. And ideally people should be able to see our humanity no matter what texture our hair is, or color our hair is, or color our skin is. Ideally, that's not the world that we live in. That is the world that we're hopefully working towards. And I think that is that's the thing I sort of wrestle with. My own sense of wanting to feel good in my own skin, but then also needing to exist in the world and feel seen on some level.
Same.
Yeah.
You put that more eloquently than I ever could have. So amen to that. And amen to the 80s fashion. I know I got to wrap up, but amen to the 80s fashion of it all.
Yes.
I love it.
Usher's hair in the film, that little.
Oh, yes. He had that redhead kingpin, Gumby. Yes. I loved it.
Every day.
Thank y'all so much. And y'all have a lovely day. And I'm like you, Laverne. I was trying not to fangirl too much. But thanks, guys, so much.